Die Zukunft der Arbeit startet mit dir. Ganz egal, ob du CEO, angestellt, selbstständig, auf Jobsuche oder im Studium bist. In der Arbeitswelt von heute stehen wir alle vor denselben Herausforderungen. Wir sind umgeben von Ideen und Konzepten zu Future Skills, Digitalisierung, Mentoring, verantwortungsvollem Recruiting und künstlicher Intelligenz. Also gehen wir sie gemeinsam an. Wie beeinflusst mentale Gesundheit den Job? Wie müssen sich Unternehmen verändern, um ihre Mitarbeitenden für sich zu begeistern und zu unterstützen? Und wie baue ich mir mein eigenes berufliches Netzwerk auf? Darüber wollen wir heute sprechen, um miteinander und voneinander zu lernen. Education, Transformation, Action.
So, hello everyone, a very warm welcome from me. My name is Franziska and I'm super excited to have you all here to the panel talk of today. I'm really excited to talk with my super exciting speakers. We are talking about the future and especially about our future in regards in a tech-driven world. As we all know, there are many changes going on right now. Most of it, obviously, like through tech, to AI, and everything that comes with it. So there's a lot of change happening, and we will focus like what changes will there be? What changes can we see like coming up? And how can we be prepared? What skills are being needed in the future job market? How can we prepare best? And also, how can we stand out? How can we build our personal brand, our personal nuances in our jobs? How can we do that? And therefore, I have amazing panelists here with me. And first of all, I want to introduce Marie Kanellopulos. You are in the startup world since 2011. You have a lot of experiences, also like particularly on focus of people and culture in HR. You have a boutique consultancy for HR. You're the CEO of it. And you worked with really like amazing companies like Airbnb, Dr. Lib, Accenture, H&M. And I'm very curious about your perspective, also like the HR perspective of how you look, you know, like on applicants and people that want to work, like where do you see the potentials? Also, very warm welcome to Volker Harbrecht. You are the leader of the e-commerce team at Meta. I think we can, you know, learn a lot from you. You also help clients to hypergrow. You say that working with cross-functional teams is key, and besides this, you drive a lot of innovation initiatives, like, for example, also HR and AR. And yeah, you also worked for eBay Kleinanzeigen in the past years, but now you're at Meta. Very welcome, Volker. And also, I'm very happy to welcome Vanessa. You are a people lead with 12 years of experience, also like in the recruitment sector. You are specialized in tech recruitment and developing people processes. And you are working right now at Merantix Momentum. You moved here also from Brazil to Germany, also like comes very good with the previous talk. And your way of working also was pretty much data-driven, but you also want to focus a little more on a holistic approach of it. And I'm super excited to hear what that actually means. So I would say, starting with Marie, you are since 2011 in the startup world and also like in this kind of environment of entrepreneurs, of people who want to grow, of strategies, how to grow, how to build personal brands. What would you say changed in the last 10 years and is still changing? Like this kind of word, this kind of buzzword, change is going on, tech-driven change. How do you feel it? Like, what is your daily experience on it?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction so far. Being CEO or co-CEO of Dun Burden for 5 years now on the market, I had to learn how to pivot the business, how to pivot myself, and always be on constant movement. And this is an advice I would give to everyone, either being the professional or being just a job seeker or job beginner. This is so important that we are always open for change, because what I've seen is not only crisis when it comes to economical crisis, right? And others, social crisis, what we're having is more or less that we always have to adapt ourselves. And I've began my career in the startup scene where the mindset became like really growth focused, so the growth mindset, and everyone wanted to start or found a startup. And when I see from the investor side, because I'm also angel investor and I foster a lot of asset class, when you have an idea you would like to start, the investor says, okay, your idea is worth of 5%, but 95% of your idea is the execution. So you have to execute, and in order to execute, you have to change always your skills and change your mindsets and be open to new things. So this is, I think, my biggest learning I had in the last 10 years on the market.
Okay, so there's also a lot of change, like in this precise work that comes also day to day. Like having a great idea is one thing, this kind of inspiration, but then also you have to think long term how to execute those strategies and also implement there maybe like ways of, new ways of working. Maybe also you're also like in HR, you're a recruiter. What would you say? Like what changed in your world? How did you, for example, also implement AI or other strategies? And yeah, let us tell us a bit about your experience.
So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Franziska, and it's a pleasure to share the table with those amazing people. And a very important thing that I would like to say is, if you work with tech, you need to be used to change. It's not necessary change jobs, but change the way that you work, change what might be important, change in which way you add value in general to the company. And I think that especially nowadays with this boom of AI for sure, it's a game change in the work environment nowadays. So we have been seeing that a lot of job roles exist now. A couple of job roles don't exist anymore. But the most important thing that I would like to say that we, as a humans, we create the models, we train the models, and we make the things happen. So if we are not connected with the mission of the company, this bunch of data will not be worth it potentially. So basically, I think that the main point of this kind of changes that the work environment have been shown to us, especially, is technical knowledge is accessible for everyone. So it's easy now learning things. It's easy now leverage your technical knowledge, but especially soft skills, communication, a couple of things like this, you really need to keep improving, and how you leverage this in this super fast and super data-driven society. So I would like to highlight these points.
Super, thank you very much. Now, Volker, last but not least, your view on it. What is your experience? Also, like, what are the maybe trends right now occurring in remote or also digital work?
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure. Usually I try to start with asking the audience, but it's super hard to see anyone in the audience, not because you're not there, but because the lights are very bright. So it's an honor to be here and to be in the spotlight. Change. Yeah, I think both of the speakers before me already carved out a little bit of what's right now happening. I would even say that who of you in the audience already knows now what his or her plan is for the next 5 years? And like I said, it's hard to see, but
I can see them. You can just put your hands up and then can, all right.
Who has a plan for her himself?
5-year plan, kind of. 2 people.
Yeah, I see 2 as well. So I think that's 3,
all right,
4.
we're open for the future, I see.
Everyone else, you don't need to be shocked. I was asked this question. I actually asked this question myself frequently in the past still. And this is super hard to answer, especially in this fast pace of changing world. And I think what but at least my recipe was to overcome this kind of insecurity of not knowing what I want to be or where I want to be in 5 years. I think everyone has an overarching goal or mission or vision. I think we even call it more a vision of where you want to be one day. Yeah, not like having in a role, but more with friends, with family, and in the society. And then everything else will go into this as long as you execute along that, which means we know change is there. What does change mean for you? What does it mean for me? I was an architect as a profession when I started. So change means you need to be eager to learn. You need to be curious to learn. And as long as you're curious and you figure out, okay, and maybe you heard of the concept of a T-shaped expert. So you have the bar on top, which means you need to know, or a lot of people want to know a lot on the surface, and then you go deeper. And this going deeper takes longer because it's like more in depth. You need to become an expert. And so for me, it's like having this T, the top line, going along that and figuring, okay, what do I want to know? What do I want to learn? And then I go deeper. I did product, I did marketing, now I'm in sales. So it's all of this. And therefore, for me, in this changing world, there's not like one final solution. It's more like adapting and learning how to maneuver and always have more than one foot on the ground.
I think this is interesting because there's a lot that changes, like the outside world, but we also change. Vice versa, like it's kind of a relation, you know. Like we also change. You said you came from an architecture background. I think you also had a different background, you know. So there's also this kind of interconnection between we change, outside world changes. What would you say are skills for maybe not having the feeling of getting lost in it, you know? Sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's like change also means, you know, maybe losing a bit of security at times, because if there's a lot of new stuff happening, then, you know, what would you say?
I always tell, when I'm in a leadership role, I often do the interim leader or head of, I always try to teach my direct reports that you have to treat your career as a startup. Like people say, your name is a brand, right? You are a brand. Of course, you have to do marketing online, offline, but you are also a company, right? You have to work on yourself, and you have to establish many skills, especially nowadays during the AI world. And I think the most important one is resilience, what we just had in the other keynote. Like people that are resilient, that are avoiding drama, that get things done. You know, those attitudes, soft skills, are skills you cannot really train, right? Either you have a work ethic or you don't. So I recently heard from one study that 75% of the long-term success you have in the job are based on your soft skills and personality rather on the technical skills. And I totally agree with Volker that you have this T-shaped person. This is the most flexible setup you could have as a personality, that you have this growth mindset. You are an arounder, you know a lot of things, but in one expertise, you're super deep. And those things, I'm begging you that you are training, that you invest into yourself, that you are not the person that is, do we have development budget? Okay, but I don't find time. You have to find time. You have to read podcasts, listen to podcasts when you're in the car or on your way. You have to read books. Those things you're not doing for your job or your family or friends, you're doing it for yourself. So this is one thing I would definitely say. To stand out of this whole work environment, you have to invest, and you have to really be authentic and be resilient to cover all the new things that are coming along its way.
All right, so there's this aspect of, you know, being open, reading, always keeping learning, but also being specialized, like in something that you know that really you are really good at.
Yeah, and also be bold enough when something's changed, right? Like some clients of myself say, I want to have a loyal employee, a person that maybe works for 7-8 years. In the past, it was common, especially in Germany, that you accepting a job offer and then you stay in the company for longer. Nowadays, like, I don't even know whether this person will stay 2 or 3 years, right? Is this question still valid to ask? Or is it also maybe nice to have job offers? Like I think job hoppers are super exciting because they saw many diverse industries, branch, and they are adaptable. And those things I would definitely treat as a bold experience for myself. And then in the end, you just have to know how to sell yourself. But it's like taking all those adventures and be bold enough when something changes. For instance, I studied fashion management, right? I'm now leading people and culture teams. So, I mean, it's super diverse, right? But I'm developing too. And when I'm doing executive search, for instance, I hire C-level. I always ask, what was the opinion you had 5 years ago that it has changed? Because this is a question that really values that you are also able to evolve yourself and that you are reflecting. And I think you don't need to change values, but you need to change opinions, right? Because we all had opinions that has changed, which is good. So stick to that and be bold.
And would you say the values are that stays also a bit? Like, you know, what is the anchor?
Core values.
Core values.
Yeah, so when I'm shaping cultures, you have the tech team, you have the business team, you have the founding team. You will not find people with all the same values to the all same extent, but you will meet teams that have 2 or 3 core values, common values where you're all aligned to it. And you have 2 or 3 personal core values in order to stick with yourself, right? To be resilient in the inner side, to also be the private person you want to be. But then, of course, you have some different business values, some different friendship values, but you stick to anchor points, yeah? So I would say 2 or 3 things.
Super. Thanks so much. Vanessa, imagining like I'm writing my resume and I give it to you, you know? And you have the eyes of the recruiter and you read my CV. What do you focus on? What are like skills? And you also said that you had a very data-based approach and now you want to be more holistic. What is it? And how do you look then on, for example, like a CV or someone who wants to work with the company?
Nice, great question. I could just think about the CV is because the CV is the first impression of a person. So a small piece of paper needs to show exactly who you are. And if this piece of paper is confusion, it's not organized, me as a recruiter that I'm full of bias sometimes, I will think, maybe this person is not that much organized. Maybe this person don't have that much focus because I can see in the top in marketing, software developers, as well as commercial. Oh my God, what this person wants. So it's really important when we are building this tool, that is something that I didn't met you before, because the most important thing of the CV is to be a tool that can trigger the interest of the recruiter and I want to know her. I want to know this person. I want to know the person. And then you might structure it in a great way. Also think about the typos, think about design, think about everything in the CV. And especially in a clear way, you can put the time that you was in the company, the name of the company, your role, and when you're going to build in the activities or what you made in the company, mix activities as well as results. All the activities that you're going to put in there, it's also in the job description. It's also in the job, is also in the day-by-day of other software engineering, for example. But the results, the increase of the quality in X%, the delivery of the project, X% minus of the time, only you can do. And if I read it in your CV, I will think, if this person made this in that place, that person can also do here. So basically focus also in the values that you create to the company. And especially when we go to a moment that is an interview, that finally we can see each other, I think that especially communication, analytical thought / problem solve, as well as team interaction are 3 very important points. When I say this, everybody say, Vanessa, it's a very old-fashioned skills. We talk about this for 10 years. Yes, we talk about this. But if you have a great problem solve skills, we don't work in silos anymore. So it's really important we understand how our job impacts the other areas, as well as the final process of the company, as well as our client. When you talk about the team interaction, prove yourself wrong. sometimes only in a team, you will see that maybe your idea is not the most interesting in the world, and maybe we're going to enhance the idea of a colleague. Also, when we work in teams, we reduce, how can I say, the bias that we have in ourselves, because a part of met a different way of doing a job, I met a different person that came from a different culture, doing a different things, and also open our horizon. And when I say about communication, I would want to focus in feedback. So feedback is something that if it's well received and well given, we can increase our performance in around 30%. And then when I talk about feedback, it's not only wait your manager come and say, hey, Vanessa, here's your feedback. It's proactively communicate that, hey, let's talk about me, what I made that was important, in which way I can be in the rails, I'm doing something wrong, what you hear about myself. If you have this kind of open communication, it will enhance your maturity, because sometimes some feedbacks are really tough, but it's important for us to grow, and you'll be always connected with the mission of the company. So it's very easy we lost ourselves. It's very easy we fall in the routine. But if you really know what is important, what you are doing that is good or is wrong in a more proactive way, for sure you will not be lost.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Those are very good things to keep in mind. I also want to ask Volker, as someone who's the head of e-commerce at a very, very large company like Meta. If I would be 17 years old and I don't know what I want to do, but I'm very interested in tech, what advice would you give me? What skill set would you recommend? Work on it, invest in those skills. What would you say?
Thanks for the question, and we didn't prep that one. So, and I'm not sure if I'm working for Meta. I'm the perfect person to answer this question for a 17-year-old. My kids are younger, and I'm maybe failing with them even. So, but giving it a try. Being 17 in the world now means you have all opportunities, which means the market you're in, you can have nearly every job which you want. But how do you get there, and how do you know if this job might give you a happy life, might give you energy when you are there, and it's not like just sucking your energy. So everyone who's going to work just because she or he has to go for work or to this work, maybe think about something. So therefore, I would say I think like in the whole career, in the whole life, figure out, talk to others, get feedback from others, which also Vanessa mentioned. So get feedback from others, ask for their advice. What do you stand for? How do they see you? Of course, in school you get grades, yeah, and you get maybe some text from the teacher at the end of the year describing you, how you behaved. Frankly speaking, I checked mine some years back and I still recognize myself. So I think some of they stay. So ask others, how are you perceived? What is your strength? If you personally believe you're a creative person, but others never mention creativity when talking to you, maybe there's something you should figure out why it's not, and then also ask questions. Don't just be happy with receiving feedback, also ask questions. This gives you maybe a first glimpse on where are your strengths and where your interests, if you don't know them yourself, and you can calibrate yourself. Second is then talking, at least what I did, I was talking to people who are in the given industries. I even did internships in these industries to figure out if this job might be something which I'm interested in. And for sure, you can't do it with every job, but at least with some. So get some first-hand experience on profiles, on like the jobs which you would be in, assuming you're studying a given topic. And then be ready for change. So along the way, when you study, you will realize and you will carve out topics which you're more interested in and you're less interested in, which you're better in and not so good in. And like this, you can then again and again, a little bit tilting, a little bit moving your direction and going into exactly where you need to be. At the end, there are some jobs which you need to study for medicine, to become a doctor, you need to do it for being a lawyer. But most of the other jobs, nobody cares what you studied. You should study what you like, what you believe you like, and then on the way you can still change it. And you can then afterwards go for the job which you might be interested in. So be ready for change on this journey and build some kind of a network of people you trust, which can be your advisors or your partners or your mentors. Exactly. Thanks for, I lost that word. Thanks for that. They are crucial for your life. And they will not be the same for your whole life, but they will change over the course of your life. And this will for sure guide you and help you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this is very true. Like, life has changed, we change, everything around us changes. And coming to the point of standing out in personal branding, you know, this is like a little bit also very interesting, because I always think, like, when it comes to personal branding, it also comes very much to know who you are very well and to communicate that. And what would you say, Marie, like, in today's world, which is digital, changing very fast, what advice would you give people that want to build strong personal brand? Also, like, a little bit in this kind of field, if they're starting a new career, or if they also want to go into a different field, still being true to themselves.
I really like the point of having the strong network and the mentor, right? So whenever you would like to start something new, you always have to start with expectation management. So you have to know what I want, what do I want, and how it will look like in the end eventually. So when you start a new career, you looking for mentors, but you always work on your personal appearance. And at today's world with AI now, all those trends here and there, you get information like this, right? You simply you don't need even to ask a person or to enter a new network. You know those insights, and people connect with people. And when digital ways and trends are coming, AI, automation, it's all about the people. So you have to always have a balance, and people connect with you when you are owning your story. I'm super bored about professional perfectionism, like even in employer branding, you know, when I'm setting up campaigns. I hate those pictures that look perfect, that you can sell, that are super attractive to everyone, because culture is not about being attractive to everyone. It's about being unique and sharp and being authentic. So I would say, like, be bold, talk in your own language, don't copy anything. Do network, not only offline, also online. Be approachable, be reachable, and then that you are having this expertise, but then you also can expand your expertise. So have some kind of credibility, I would say. And those things you can easily work. You can search for a mentor. You can go to events. You can network. You can share your knowledge. And when people are asking me, Marie, building up a network is super exhausting. I don't want to have only connections. I want to do it by myself. I respond that having connections is not a bad thing, and building up a network is about sharing, right? You share everything you have, you connect people, and then when you need advice, you are able to activate your network. It's not a bad thing, and especially with AI, I think the human-to-human connections are super important. And being authentic. This is the way you stand out, in my opinion. So I was successful when I kept being myself, and I always tried to fit in a community, to fit in the boarding school, to fit in the job. I don't know whether you know Brené Brown. It's a really successful author in the US, and she says the feeling of belonging, it's not about fitting in, right? Fitting in is actually the contrast of feeling of belonging. And this is why I love people who they are, and that they are also open for criticism.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Same question also to Vanessa. What would you say, like, what are candidates that stand out for you, also in regards of this AI world competition? Like, what do you think?
I think in that point, and also not only for the candidates, but also for people that are inside the organizations, I think that is acting as an owner. I think it is a very, very important point because the main point of acting as an owner, it's because you are not working for your boss. You're working for a client. You're working for a mission. You're working for something bigger. And if you be able to understand what this something bigger is, you can build in this step by step and also your growth plan on those aspects in general. And it's really, really important also in my point of view, we catalog our success. And of course, why not our fuck-ups? Everyone make mistakes. And it's really important we sometimes make this kind of a monthly journal or something like this, because it's super easy we fall in the routine and we forgot what we did great. And even though we make some mistakes sometimes, we can bring a lot of things to the table. So I believe that if you bring those values, as well as when I was talking about the CV, is really important. And sometimes people fall in a mistake that unfortunately is true. People say, I was promoted to junior software engineer to senior software engineer. Okay, but what you made to be promoted. For the companies, of course, it is important, but it's most important you explain and that now you reduce the bugs in 30% after change the application. So basically, it's how I can understand what's the value that I bring and the new points that I can stand forward on this. And I believe that in general, this idea of understand what the impact that you have in people, what the impact that you have in the business in general can help you to act as an owner.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm also very curious. Do you have questions already? Did there already come something to your mind which you want to ask the experts? You have now the opportunity.
No.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I'm like asking questions all the time. But,
of course.
It's really interesting what you're saying. I'm like so hooked, and I actually need to read the next moderating card, but I cannot really focus because it's really very interesting topics. I have a question, a few actually. First of all, Marie, to you, because you mentioned. No, first I'm going to go with Volker. Volker, you said you can change your career path on the way and just do something totally different, as you also did, from an architect to now in Meta. At the same time, Vanessa was telling us that in a CV, if there are like too many different topics, what is this person actually doing? It's kind of confusing. How would the candidates or a person building their own personal brand, how would they manage that?
I take it. That's a very good one. So exactly. So the question how you build it on a red line on what you're doing and why you're doing it, you need to explain it. So I think if someone is just like doing, I want to do HR today and do marketing tomorrow and then do whatever the day after tomorrow, and there's no line behind, maybe be careful on this. But why not connecting it with some dots? Yeah, with a line. So I came from architecture and I wanted to come into business, but my way was I went from architecture into project management, from like the architect to manage the architect into a more like a consultant, which this was my journey. And this is a clear journey, clear path, and I needed an MBA in between to then step further up. That's a journey. Everybody else would have said that doesn't stick together. So where are the red dots? So it's on your imagination and also a little bit of a plan of how you phrase it. And of course, I think we can do this for all the ideas and all the steps someone wants to take. Build your story and have your story. And on the other hand, having these like jumps also make you interesting, depending on the role. If you need a pure software engineer having 20 years of experience, maybe someone having studied, I don't know, physiology is not the right person for that one, yeah? But like I said, it's some things you have to really study. Other things you can build your story and you can build along the way.
If I can just add some point on this, especially I have been supporting a lot of colleagues, friends that are looking for jobs. Hey, Vanessa, help me here how to build in the CV. And sometimes people has to focus, for example. And I'm going to say, hey, two things, or you build into CVs, or you decide which focus you're going to take in your next step of career. And of course, the the other part of your career will be also useful to fill your CV, but they will be in the second step. In the first, second line will be especially the things that are more connected with the job that we're looking for now, and behind this opportunity can be there. But of course, when people are reading the CV, that is kind of a storytelling, they will be connected for the things that are in the top, they will be connected with the things that are first. And if it is first, the activities that you want to be enhanced in order to looking for this other job, it will be understandable. And for example, in the title, in your objective, of course, you might choose at least one or two, if those two are connected, like project manager, project owner, for example, they are quite similar, for example. But if you have very different topics or very different jumps, it can be hard to the recruiter take in consideration. And another point important, career transition, that is what we are talking now, have been saving a lot the tech world, because it's really clear that the people that go after the university are not enough to fill all the open roles that we have. So I know that is hard, especially when we're at the beginning of this transition, but keep going, do networking like Mahi mentioned, keep learning, and then you will find a job in this new universe.
I also would like to add, because I'm totally agreeing the mentioned points. However, the cover letter, for instance, it's not really necessary, right? At the moment, I think the tendency is clear that we only need the CVs. So I'm totally with Vanessa saying you can individualize your CV, because the audience is different, right? Mm-hmm. So this is something, change the keywords and try to lead the eye to the focus you would love to have, and this makes you really interesting. So individualize your documents, and I think then you are good to go.
There's a question.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to that question. Just a follow-up question to you, Vanessa. I'm an employer myself. That's why I'm asking. Like, I'm learning here. Okay. So I'm a guest here at the moment. No, but my question would be: if you really face it, or are there a tendency of new younger generation to have more than one expertise? Because everybody wants to do so many things. They want to be like working with an NGO. They want to save the world. They want to have an expertise that they studied. So they're adding on many things. So the focus, of course, varies at a certain point. Do you see that tendency in the young generation, and how do you deal with that?
Yes, it's true. So now we are super hungry for new things, but it's really important when you are building a career, have this kind of consistent. For example, you will only be a senior, for example, if you're passing through the junior challenges, if you're passing through sometimes intern challenge. And it's really important we build in this career in a consistent way in order to looking for what you want. All those extra activities, for sure, will help you in what we are doing. If you are, for example, a project manager and you work in organizing events, for example, for a non-profit organization, it, of course, enhances your skills of organization, financial, timeline, all this kind of things. So the idea is how you phrase all those things in a way that collaborate with your final objective, that, for example, find the opportunity as a project manager, how you shape your ONG experience, how you shape your learn experience in a way that can be connected. And for sure, in the CV, we don't lie nothing, but we use the best words to do it.
Very good. Okay, question.
Hi, yes, thank you. What I'm hearing is that it's very important to be very clear about your personal brand and be aligning it with where you want to go and the positions that you want to get. But my question there is, that takes time. So what is the opportunity cost of, say, applying to less places while tailoring that, as opposed to applying to more places? I'm curious about what the opinion is on the opportunity cost versus the personalization.
Quick answer. 30 seconds. Who's on?
I think it's if you don't like customize this enough, I think your likeliness of failing is very high. And then also consider the mental effects on yourself failing a lot. I have friends who fail often and a lot on applying, and this makes them pretty nervous one time and gives them also a big headache and like mental challenges. So it's always a balance. So if you know that you don't invest a lot and you just try it, do it. But if you then end up in a company you don't want to be, it might give you challenges afterwards. So
just the last word from my side. Please take calculated risk, because you don't have nothing to lose. If you make a failure, you will learn. If you win, you win, right? So always be bold and stick with it.
And always be bold. I really like that last sentence.
And just last sentence. Yes, the marketing have been cruel sometimes, so it's really hard to get a job. It's not easy, but sometimes we need to be the silver medal before be the gold medal. So it will build in resilience. It will help us to understand what we made wrong or are doing well, and then we can keep going. So in case of too many applications or few applications, it depends what you're looking for and how hush you need a job, but keep going. I know that sometimes it's frustrating, but one moment you will have the desirable job.
Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. Also you for the audience. Thank you for this panel. I think it was very, very interesting. And we will leave the stage for the next.
Thank you.